for our YouTube comments, there's one in particular that it came through while Dan and I were sitting at Locals yesterday. I looked at my phone, I saw it come through, and I was like, oh, this is long. And then I started reading it, and I was like, Dan, you see this comment that came through? He's like, no, I didn't see it. And then I started reading it out loud, and I think I got 2 lines in before I was like, I can't read this bullshit. And I put my phone down, and I was like, I'll read this shit later. Dan read it on the spot, and Dan was like, Mike saw it today. Mike saw it today, and I finally read it today. And so let's talk about it, because we're a podcast. We talk about things. We don't shy away from topics, and we're not afraid to be called out when we're wrong, but we also call out bullshit when we feel that it's bullshit. And this is one of those comments that we're going to call out for bullshit because we feel that it's bullshit. Even more bullshit. For those of you who are loyal listeners, it's even more bullshit than that red hybrid comment we got where we overvalued red hybrid. That was a bullshit comment. This is like a tier above bullshit. All right, let's get that straight. So, comment. And it's on YouTube, so I'll call out the name. By Kukuruyo5994. Says, wait, so you have a game that has gone to shit because they've gone insanely deep into power creeping to absurd levels. Almost every deck that is minimally able to be played competitively is absolutely brain dead, requiring 0 skill to win. They've introduced one of the worst gimmicks ever with the ace mechanic and immediately made it brutally overpowered. It has gimmicks that are absolutely toxic to the game like Magna X, or the dynamic of every deck having to either erase the entire board every turn or be immune to everything that exists. The company has absolutely 0 idea or intention of fixing any issues and install bans that make no sense and a lot of other glaring issues, ... And the things that you consider issues are ... That the aces aren't strong enough. When the fuck did we say that? That the United States store championships are not well distributed. They fucking aren't. And if you don't see that as an issue, then I don't know if you give 2 shits about the game. And the shit ton of cards that should be banned. We didn't say a shit ton of cards should be banned. That's other people. We said we didn't even think there should be a ban list. The one you have an issue with is Edamon because it fucks up your own overpowered decks. Holy moly.
I have a few things just want to rattle.
Go ahead, Mike. Take the reins.
Go ahead. So I feel like to start off, he said they've got the game has gone to shit. I don't think that Digimon has gone to shit at all. I think it's still a fantastic game to play. And I don't know if maybe I was talking too much shit on Bandai, but I think that me talking shit on Bandai does not mean that I think that the Digimon card game is bad. I think the Digimon card game is still fantastic. I think that BT15 format was amazing. I think that BT16 format is still a lot of fun, even though it's been pretty overpowered with Numemon. And I think that it's okay because it's a shorter format anyways. So I want to preface that. I do not think this game has gone to shit at all. Also saying that Ace cards was a terrible gimmick and they made it absolutely they made it brutally overpowered right away is the most insane take ever. I think Ace cards were really awesome to introduce to this game because it requires an extra layer of thinking. Now those brain dead decks he said that are in the game, you can't be brain dead. You have to look at your opponent's board and be like, oh shit, should I swing right now? Should I remove the board before I attack? What happens if I swing and I get wiped on the turn because of Valkyrie on Ace? There are so many games where I'm playing Imperial and I can make the brain dead play, which is swing twice with Paildramon. And I'm like, oh no, I gotta be careful I don't swing to a Valk Ace. Let me just go into the fighter mode, remove their level 5 so I don't have to deal with it. You know what I mean? Whatever. It just adds extra layer and complexity to the fucking game itself. Second of all, saying that they're brutally overpowered, no. The first Ace cards were not that impactful to the game, in my opinion.
Not that impactful, bro. They were irrelevant.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? They were I think in Japan it was more impactful because they still had a Melga at full power for a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So Melga Ace was really good.
Here in America, this shit's on no play, in my opinion. I mean, I teched it in a few places. I think people were trying to make them work, but they just weren't.
Same.
So the first really good Ace we got was Mega Gargo Ace. And I don't think that card was overpowered at all, but it was the first time.
Backtrack.
You don't think that Mega Gargo Ace was the first really good Ace we got?
Zudo Ace and Magna Ace?
Yeah.
Zudo
for level 5. So
yeah,
level 5, in general, really good. They were the most powerful aces we got to begin.
No, I'll backtrack. Zudo Ace is better. It's a good card. It's a good card.
No, I'm not saying it's better, but definitely for being level 6 aces, they were Mega Gargo was the first good level 6.
I'll give you Pseudo Ace. Pseudo Ace is really good. I'd say it's like the same level of goodness as Mega Gargo. Actually, it's probably better. It sees more competitive play right now. So I'll give you Pseudo Ace for sure. But in my opinion, like for level 6 is the like Mega Gargo Ace, right? Like that's the card I would think of. And like, I mean, like that's like the first card I think that like really made people be like, oh shit, like let me not get my entire board absolutely fucked by swinging right now. And then we have some good aces. Like we have really good. I mean, Fighter Mode Ace is amazing. Valkyremon Ace is amazing. Bikemon Ace is amazing. But I don't think that any of those cards are really broken or overpowered. I mean, like like there's so many ways to remove an opponent's board right now. Like as long as you aren't stupid, then like I don't think you can really, except for the Edamon play. There's nothing you can do about that. I mean, you get slammed with an Edamon, you're gonna have to attack, you know. But like besides that, like as long as you can actually read the field and figure out what your opponent might be playing, like I don't think it's any different than any other game. Like Magic, you can get counterspelled, you can get instant, like killed with an instant. There's so many ways to respond to an opponent's turn during Magic. Yu-Gi-Oh, you have a million hand traps at this point. I can't talk to Pokemon.
Yeah,
so I don't know about Pokemon honestly, but like I don't think that aces are a bad mechanic whatsoever. Also, just like I don't know. I don't. There's so much in that comment that the United States Store Championships are not well distributed. Yeah, that's an issue for the game. What are you talking about? Like that is a huge issue for the game. Like, of course we're going to talk about that. Especially like, I understand he made this entire comment and post like we didn't touch on like, oh yeah, like these decks are really overpowered right now, but the format is short and I think it's still a good form. Like, I don't think any of us were like, oh my god, this format is awful, it's unbearable. So I don't think any of us hold that opinion.
We literally said we love the Digimon card game, but multiple times. Dan, you want to go next before I hit respond?
I don't think I got much to add to that. It was just sounds like one of those type of people who are. It's crazy to say. It's only because the game's only been around for 4 years, but like a digi-boomer. Like they just want the game to be stagnant. Where
Nightmare. It was Nightmare. I'm calling you out.
BT1 to like BT5 range or something like that. Or they say the best format was what, BTA, I think it was. They said, or 7, whatever it was.
Not even, because everybody hated hybrids. No, because they all hated hybrids.
No, but a lot of people think that was the most skillful format though, still regardless. Because then BT9 comes around and then, you know, X anybody and, you know, one stack, chilling, you know, blah, 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 blah. So people always say like that's one of the most skillful formats, blah, blah, and it's like, bro, like the game has to evolve one way or the other. And I don't even think the power creep is like that bad where you need to be like, we need to ban everything. There's some cards that definitely need to be touched or need to be considered whenever they do decide to do the ban list. And yes, Edamon is an issue and it can be more problematic with more future ace cards. So yes, that's why I mentioned me personally, because I was the first one that mentioned, hey, Edamon needs to be potentially banned or at least what's called
limited.
Yeah. Or
choice restriction. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Choice restriction. That's the word I was looking for. Like, yes, that needs to be considered moving forward when more aces, more yellow, more black colored aces that are level 6s come out, and they will be eventually maybe stronger than Volk and Vike and, you know, Mega Gargo. That's just the way the nature of games are nowadays. So like it's kind of crazy to just like, I don't know, to just graze over everything we said and specifically target small parts that you did not really catch the full thing of what we were trying to express. That's what's crazy to me.
Bro, I have like even more like I hate the one you have an issue with is Edamon because it fucks up your own overpowered decks. Like,
yeah, how does
first
that?
of all,
maybe after my opponent's overpowered decks, that's the whole point, right? Like,
bro, first of all, like Dan plays Numemon. Second of all,
yeah,
the Edamon also fucks up the other Numemon deck in the same era, bro. Like, what if I neg DP the entire board with like against the, like I don't know, like that's just.
Yeah, I'm not really. I don't understand where his complaints was on the Edamon fully, but like I understand there's other problematic cards, you know, Uko and whatnot. two
which
people.
we've spoken about all of those cards.
Right, we talked about it. We talked about all like the problematic cards.
It's not like all the hate was on Edamon, but you know.
Exactly.
Or Numemon even literally, I mean, they won't hear this yet because that pod's not out yet. But I even literally was like, in the last pod, I was like, I love Imperial so much, but like maybe they have to hit Davis and Ken eventually. Like, yeah. And I'm as biased as you can fucking be about Imperial, bro. It's like, I don't know. That shit just blows my mind. Right. And also because it fucks up your own overpowered decks. First of all, if Numemon didn't just get 9 tops out of a top 16, right? Like, what do you mean your own overpowered decks? Numemon is the overpowered deck right now. Like what the? Yeah. It's not like the Edamon play is some weird rogue combo in this rogue deck that we're talking about needs to be hit. It is a very powerful, potent Numemon combo piece.
Like it's best deck in the format.
I don't know. That whole shit has me fucked up right now.
It's just. I just remember there was another comment that mentioned that this format is more like Dragon Rulers and Spellbook. I just want to talk about that real quick. It is not like that because you don't see half splits of Magna and like, you know, a lot of tops of Magna and a lot of tops of Numemon. It's just straight Numemon. So there's a difference. That's why I say it's close to tier 0 for a Numemon being, you know, B-diff, obviously, than there is to being a format where there's 2 main decks. Obviously, Magna is holding other decks back, but like it's not like it's topping as much as we thought it could have been.
All right,
go ahead.
So let's dive into this. Let's do the Varney take. So you have a game that's gone to shit. We never said it's gone to shit, and if you believe it's gone to shit, then yeah, you're a Digiboomer, and you should probably play a different card game because Digimon card game isn't for you anymore, Chief. Because they've gone insanely deep into power creeping to absurd levels. I've seen absurd levels of power creep in a Bandai card game, and that's called One Piece. Okay.
Yeah.
That's called One Piece, and that's called the Dragon Ball Super card game. Digimon has had power creep, but our power creep has been relatively well addressed, and the card game has excelled at a rate that is consistent for a 4-year-old card game. I'm curious. I'm probably going to ask this as a poll question, so I'll write it down. But what is power creep? Like, what do you guys define power creep as? Is it getting new effects that do different things? Like, do you just want to see everything be like a vanilla 2K or a vanilla 2-drop 5,000 DP Digimon and have like a 3-cost to Digivolve level 6 that just has like blocker on main body? Or when this Digimon attacks on suspend, like is that the kind of effects that you want to see? Would you like to see new mechanics? Would you like to see new effects? Like, look at Sendril and Zafagamon. Like, I don't disagree. The shitty part is that like he makes some decent points, but like then you like proceed to like blow up your own fucking argument. I think there are some decks that are like they can definitely be overpowered for sure. Numemon, Magna X can be oppressive, but like I've been playing that deck, and Magna X in its own deck is perfectly fine and is exactly the boss monster that it should have been. Yellow Vaccine abusing the shit out of Magna X, however, is a completely separate issue. Cards like Blinding Ray and other cards that like force you to take your own security for whatever reason do make Magna X a design issue. That's not a problem so much like with the idea of a protection effect. Mike and I have spoken about this. There is a way that you can make that card completely fair, and that is by, in my opinion, that card should have been worded when a Digimon attacks and removes a security. That way, its intended purpose is to make it a wall against security for blocking purposes. So a Digimon has to attack, remove a security, whether that's himself or an opposing Digimon or one of your ally Digimon, then you can get that effect. But you're not able to trigger it off of the Blinding Ray, off the TK, off the Anjouamon, off the Nyaromon. It's a very easy fix. And although somebody at Bandai might have thought of it, they said, how can we make this card busted so we can sell this set? All right, let's be realistic. Power creep sells. Am I right or am I wrong, boys?
No, yeah. They have to. I mean, so it's such a weird. I always hated. So for a while, I used to hold this. It was kind of a bad take, maybe. Because I came from Magic before I played anything else, before I played Yu-Gi-Oh, before I played any of the other 15,000 card games I've tried in my life. Like, it was Magic. So I was really used to either you played an internal format, one that never got sunset, or you played a rotating format like State. And I always thought that it was really great that Magic had all these different rotating formats, or and different eternal formats. Like you could always find niche ways to play decks or whatever. And I thought that the rotating formats were great because it made it so you could rotate out really powerful cards and rotate through power creep. And I was like, this is a really good game because of that. Magic has gotten to the point now where it's actually so fucking awful with power creep. I mean, it's actually like I used to think that there was power creep, obviously, but Magic was weird because the first set they ever printed is basically the strongest set in the entire game ever. You know, like that first set they printed was the best. But when you come to the new standard rotations and modern now is so bad, just there's so many bad things that happen in Magic. And I used to be under this like thing that was like, oh, like card games that don't have rotating formats like Yu-Gi-Oh are so bad because they have to make these really powerful decks to keep selling cards instead of rotating out old cards and putting them. That was a bad take because honestly, Magic ended up doing the same fucking shit. So what was the point of thinking that way, right? But in my opinion, like, I don't know, like, if they don't keep releasing stronger cards, then they're going to have to start hitting all of the old decks. That's how you have to look at it. Because they need more product to sell. And that's unfortunately just how it works. So either they hit all of your old favorite decks to force you to buy new product, or they make cards slightly stronger each set. So, and if you're lucky, they keep making cards slightly stronger, and then they come back to your favorite deck, and they make that meta relevant again.
It really just feels like the cycle of life of card games, you know?
Yeah, and I think the big issue is when sometimes they make a card instead of making it this much more powerful, you hit a wall where they make it this much more powerful and this much more powerful, and that's what the issue is, right? So I like to look at sets differently. Like, so for me, it was BT5 was like, well, I think the first set where like the game kind of changed, and then BT9. We've talked about this in the past, like BT5, BT9, and then honestly, like you could say that like BT15 era. There's some era I have to decide on, but maybe it's BT15 where a Pokemon is the first secret that gets hit, right? Like you think about it like that. Like that's a big change moment. Whatever momentum shifter for Bandai is hitting a fucking secret rare, the chase card of the set, right? Like, I don't like that's power creep though. Like, you have to hit a fucking Pokemon. The game has reached this weird point, right? Like, that was a power crept, broken card. And I don't necessarily think that Numamon is this crazy power creep deck. It's just a deck that's been getting support for a couple sets in a row now. Like, and then you combine that with aces that have come on play, like online, and then you combine that with like these tech cards that people have figured out. Like, to me, Numamon is a perfect example of not power creep, but culmination of supports for decks. We saw that with Greymon decks, in my opinion. Greymon had so many sets of consistent support that it was like only a matter of time until we reached a point where it was going to become BDEV, right? And we hit that in BT11 with Greymon X, right? Like, we hit that point where it was like, okay, like this is Greymon's time to shine, you know? There was so many consistent sets of support. But then, like, so like, I don't think that that's really power creep for me. Power creep is Melga. Melga gets how many decks? Like, Melga got like literally one run of support and it became the best deck in the format.
Yep.
That's busted. Like, a Pokemon gets literally one box of support.
An entire set, yeah.
I mean, well, not really, because you had all the Garurumons and everything that got hit. But like, all those cards got hit and Bandai still had to hit a Pokemon, right? So like, a Pokemon is literally like Bandai being like, this is a fucked up, like, this is power creep, right? Like, I don't know. That's just like my take, I guess. Like, sometimes I feel like Numamon is strong, don't get me wrong, but again, I don't know if that's like, that's culmination of sets and sets and sets. Like, Magnet X, I guess you could call that like a power creep deck, where like that really has gotten two sets of support, where it's, if you're talking about blue vaccine, by the way, not yellow vaccine. Or not blue vaccine, blue armor. You're talking about vaccine. Blue armor, that's like two blue sets free. Of support. Like, you get like, you know, whatever. But I don't even think that Magna X is really that insane. It's the other cards that go with it that make it so crazy. So, right. You know, like that's just an entirely different discussion.
So I'm pretty sure, real quick, because I was just doing some quick little research. I'm sure somebody will fact check me, right? Almost by year 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh! And TCG, they dropped cards like Cyber Dragon, which was instant power creep for the game, where you could just drop a 5-cost free special summon 2100 attack beast stick. No problem. That was revolutionary. Plus, in that same era, you had the Cyber End Dragon Power Bond instant OTK, where you go second, you go Power Bond or Future Fusion, and then you just OTK the F out of people. So I'm pretty sure even Yu-Gi-Oh had that crazy power creep spikes in by year 4 as well. So why is it so bad for Digimon to have that? And I'm just going by year 4. Before even year 4 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or year 3, whatever it was for TCG wise, you had Black Luster Soldier Envoy of the Chaos, which was a broken ass card. And same thing with the dragon one. I forget what it's called right now.
Dark Arm Dragon. Oh no, you're talking about Envoy.
No,
Dark Arm Dragon came out. Envoy of the Ends, baby.
Dad came out year 5 or 6, I think it was, or something 7, something like that. But Black Luster Soldier was already within 4-year span of Yu-Gi-Oh being out, was already a busted ass card. Same thing with Chaos, the dragon card. I always forget the name of it. Combo with the Yatagarasu, that was such a power creep ass move that you're able to do. There was nothing you could do about that. You know what I'm saying? So why was it so okay for Yu-Gi-Oh to have these, and people ban, and obviously Konami banned those cards and decks forever almost, it felt like. But Digimon has power creep, or has some type of power creep. I don't think the power creep is that bad. Magna X is kind of a gatekeeper-ish for decks that aren't that good, but those decks were never going to be that good, period, sometimes. So, what does it even matter? But, why is it so bad for Digimon to have that? You know what I'm saying? It's not that bad. You need progression in card games.
I don't want to cut you off, but, I also hate the thought of, a gatekeeper deck being a bad thing. Why is it bad if decks that are not meta or off meta or rogue not being able to win tournaments? Now I get that. I also get the argument that I'm not trying to be close my eyes and be blind to the fact that Numemon is a fucking murdering tournaments and everything right now, and that the decks that have good matchups against Numemon are falling to Magna. But I also think that there are other really good decks in the format still. So, and yeah, I mean, it shows Magna has not won a tournament yet. I just want to say that. For sure. You know what's won a tournament? Imperial Digimon has won a tournament. Bro.
Yeah. Before Magna has, which is crazy to think.
I don't know. And Magna's a good deck. Honestly, that deck can be very frustrating to play against when you get just fucking walled comboed. And it's more frustrating when you're I have the out, I have the play, as long as they don't activate some bullshit option card on their turn. And they do. And you're this is fucking annoying. Now I have to wait and see. And it's annoying because if they don't have cards to give extra checks, you literally have to wait that deck out. I hate, oh my, it's so annoying. You're if as long as they can't reactivate this ability next turn, I could probably win. And I hate that you're just waiting to see if they can.
Yeah, for sure.
So, power creep. We've literally spoken about power creep at least 3 times in the past, as a topic. We've had at least 2 podcasts that we've talked about solely power creep. So it's a good thing you mentioned Yu-Gi-Oh! I can't talk about any other card games because I've never played a card game from the beginning. But we're in year 4. It's really not that bad. I feel in terms of power creep, the game, sure, Numemon isn't even power creep necessarily. It's really, Mike said, the culmination of just multiple sets of support. You're playing Garamons from BT11, and you're playing the new Numa X, but then you're also now making use of an Edamon from EX5, and then here's Valk Ace from BT16. It's just good stuff, that deck. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we do, we need to keep decks in check. But to continue on with this comment, almost every deck minimally able to be played competitively is brain dead, requiring 0 skill to win. I heavily disagree with that. I think there's a degree of luck in the card game, but there's a degree of luck in every card game. And if you want a game that is completely skill to win, I don't know, again, go play something else. Maybe Digimon isn't for you. I think this game is definitely very skill intensive. Some decks can be brain dead, like Mirage can be brain dead at times because it's pretty much just OTK. But there's also a fair amount of decks. I mean, even Numemon, like the Numemon Mirror, Numemon can definitely be very, you know, air quote brain dead. But I also disagree. I feel like Numemon can be a very high skill ceiling deck, and everybody's playing Numemon, but how many people are actually winning with Numemon? The good players are.
Yeah. I wish I had the statistics on what each of these topping Numemon decks actually played through their rounds. Do you have that?
Okay. No.
Because I would love to know how many Magnas they've actually faced during these rounds, and how many of the decks that people say can beat Numemon they've been playing against and winning. Because I very obviously they are not playing Magna every single round.
Correct.
Yeah.
So these decks that people are saying like are being gatekept by Magna, I don't necessarily know if I believe.
Fair point.
I would like to see the statistics before I make some brain-headed dumb comment saying something like that. But like, they're not playing Magna every round. That's very relevant by how many tops Magna has. So
that's a good point.
What other decks are they playing? I mean, and also I think in Digimon specifically, really in any card game, the Mirror is one of the hardest matchups in any card game. I don't know how the Numemon Mirror is because I don't play Numemon, but just speaking like in terms of
toxic,
it's toxic. Yeah, I think.
Who can dismantle each other's board?
Yeah, I just feel like
who gets more present, who gets more advantage off of dismantling the opponent's board.
Mm-hmm.
So previously, like in BT15 format, pre like the Volk and the second Uko and all that stuff, it was legit basically who sees a Monzimon kills the other Numemon first. And whoever does that is usually like instant clear winner. Not clear winner, but it's like clear ahead of advantage. Because let's say if they go first, they drop that Garymon. Or you gave me 3. All right, bet I'll drop my own Garymon, get draw, go Monzimon, put you back a whole turn because you don't got anything else. And now I'm set up for my turn, that following play. If you don't deal with that Monzimon somehow, then I could go like Monzi X, pop off, go crazy, get probably like 3-4 checks instantly. Now that doesn't even matter as much because of the Edamon Vault combo. If you're able to see that combo, and even if they do that, like play, like that interaction I just spoke about.
Yeah.
It depends on how fast can you interact with that Vault, because the Vault will start swinging 2 checks, 3 checks at times.
Hey, Mike, remember when Dan and I had that skiff last week because I said that Promo Ukamon should be hit instead of the BT16 because it's bullshit that you give them 3 memory and then they just pop into a level 5 and then they can ace you in the next turn and shit like that.
Yeah, I think that's coming to mind. Yeah.
Okay, what about it?
I just wanted to mention that.
Okay.
They've introduced one of the worst gimmicks ever with the ace, and immediately made it brutally overpowered. Also, big.
Absolutely wrong.
I mean, man, I think aces, people who. Dan said it earlier, like the people who have problems like with some of this stuff, like you're really just a Digi boomer and like you just don't want to see the game like progress. You just want to keep playing like good old BT5 era. And to that I say again, go play a different card game because it's not busted. The only thing that makes it busted is if we got an ace card that was like when this Digimon is suspended or like whatever dumb shit, this Digimon gets protection. The entire idea behind ace cards is that it gives you, the player who uses the ace card, an advantage when you wouldn't normally have one. And as the opposing player, it gives them an advantage if you can remove this ace card. Cool. You're going to be refunded memory for doing so. Like, we don't have anything right now at this very moment that makes those interactions like unviable, which is a good thing. If we ever get to that point, that's an issue. We don't have that. They're very balanced. I don't care what you guys say. Like, their ace cards are balanced. As a matter of fact, it's a shame. I probably should have put out that Dan and I asked Dan 2 podcasts ago. I said, "Are ace cards good for the game?" We talked about it. It was like a nice little like 5-minute clip. I should have put out that clip like 2 days ago because ace cards. It has gimmicks that are absolutely toxic to the game, like Magnex discussed that, or the dynamic of every deck. having to either erase the entire board every turn or be immune to everything that exists. So that I can get on board with. That I can understand. I don't think every boss monster, every deck should be capable of just like popping, removing, etc. But at the same time, it kind of just feels like decks need to be able to respond to other decks. And sometimes a deck needs a built-in way of being able to interact with other decks. So yes, but also no. Like, I don't disagree with you. I think that's actually a pretty decent point to make. I think about the stuff like Sendromon and Zophagamon. Like Sendril, I can't remember exactly what she does. I know she plays a token. I think if a token is deleted, she gets like a -7 or something. Zophagomon's a board control deck, but like that's fair. I mean, it's a green deck. That's what the deck is like. That's what it's doing. Like, it suspends your opponent's stuff. Like, it's the color's identity, you know? Like, to a certain extent, it feels like the game is meant to go this way, where like every deck like removes. Green suspends. Black is meant to be a wall. Yellow DP reduces. Red just says, haha, fuck you to everything on board and your security. Purple, I feel like purple's like the most like, this is supposed to be the most versatile color, so to say. And what color am I missing? Blue. Blue just bounces everything away. So like, it's annoying, but like, it's also like color identities. So in a way it's fitting, but in a way it's also like, there's a balance that needs to be hit. And, you know, for example, I think this is actually a really good point. Magna X doesn't do anything in terms of removal. All it does is it comes on board and it says, yeah, I have immunity. like you said, like it has, or Kukuruyo, it has immunity, but it also doesn't remove anything. What if that deck wasn't allowed to play Heaven's Judgment? What if you didn't have a card that says, play me while Magna X is on board and board wipe your opponent? Mm-hmm. What if they had to bust their ass to remove opposing threats, which is what happened to me against Phoenixmon. Not only could I not get a Magna X on field, but I also couldn't get the Heavens in hand at the right time. Because when I had that Magna X, if I had Heaven's Judgment, I would have just played that instead. Because I would have been able to deal with multiple bodies. So it's like, is this balance? I agree. Like, that's definitely an issue, but it's also something where it's like, this is the direction that the game is heading, and it's the direction that every game heads. I mean, doesn't every Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh deck, or almost every Yu-Gi-Oh deck, don't they interact with the opponent in some sort of way outside of hand traps? They're supposed to like establish board presence and then deal with like your opponent's board in some sort of way.
Yeah. In my opinion, in Yu-Gi-Oh, I think it's not even my opinion. I think it's just a fact. If your deck can't interact with your opponent on their turn, then you're not winning the game. Unless
in today's game, especially
unless you're playing like some crazy OTK deck where you have to do all the interactions on your turn to win the game. Like, that's the only excuse. But yeah, you have to be able to interact with your opponent on your turn. Also, and I want to say too, like,
but even back then too, like that's what traps were so much more important back in the day.
Oh my god! Yeah.
So like they were so important. Quick play spells as well to like interact on your opponent's turn as well. So that's always been a thing. And like we always had a hand trap in Karibo. I mean, it wasn't like the most meta relevant, but like it was there. They had the idea of hand traps. You know, being able to like stop an attack and stop taking damage or something. Yeah, this was early. Gorse was pretty early on. I mean, I think 08, 09.
Yu-Gi-Oh may not be like the best example of like, well, here's what we should model our game after. But at the same time, Yu-Gi-Oh's been running for how long now?
20 plus years.
This is actually
20 plus
so believe
years?
it or not, this is actually the first year where Yu-Gi-Oh has actually seen like a significant downtick. In like players and stuff and product being bought. I think a lot of players have actually started playing other games now. Or
Master Duel probably helped with that too.
Master Duel, yeah, it's true. I don't know. Master Duel probably helped a lot with Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
I actually, because people are probably buying less physical product. I don't think the numbers from Master Duel put into any of the top card game
reports.
Bullshits, yeah. But they could also be people playing older formats now that are better. So.
Yeah, I know a lot of people play Edison now because they're just fed up of the newer formats.
Edison, Go format, great. Both of them.
Fucking people are playing Dragon Ruler format, which is insane to me.
So
I wanted to say though, I like I'm not. I hope you all know, like, just like if we're saying like DigiBoom or whatever, we're not saying the card game is perfect. There are things that need to change in this card game for sure, but to act like this card game is dying or that it's a shit card game or that I don't know, that like every deck needs to be hit, that like this, that like the card game is fine and it's fun, and if you're not having fun, just don't play. I took a format or two break. I didn't play for like, what was it? Probably
a whole like year or something like that, right?
No, it was not a whole year. Calm down, bro. I think
sure
it was
felt like it.
I think it was BT 14 and EX5. I didn't play at all. Really, I played like here and there, like very randomly, you know. But like, it's not like the whole. When I wasn't playing, I was like, this game fucking sucks. Fuck this game. Blah 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 blah. No, there's just nothing out at the time that I was interested in playing it. And I knew that eventually there were going to be cards that I was interested in playing it again. So I took a little breather, took a little break, took a step back. Like, I don't know. And again, this game's not perfect, but to act like this is like the worst card game ever and that there's problems everywhere, like, we are not even in a full tier 0 format yet. Like, we are like teetering, but we are not there. Like, and I think
it could have been worse. We could have been sitting here saying, yeah, this game is fucked right now because Numemon is dominating.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of people feel that way, but we're not there yet.
No, and we're literally like, Friday is a new format. We get new cards on Friday.
I've seen people say that like they don't think it's going to change much going to EX6, and I'm not here to like refute that point. It could very well be true, but at the same time, like, those cards are good. And I mean, card games change all the time. Players find new things that other regions might not have. You know, sure, the format didn't change too much going from BT16 to EX6 in Japan, and it might stay true for us, but there's also a possibility that it doesn't. There's a possibility that like Angels comes out and it's like, haha, here's this deck that is like resilient, can be removed, I can deal with Numemon, you know, like it's possible. I could see that happening. I'm not saying that it will, but it's a whole set. And then we go into 17, and then there's a new king. But that's a topic for another day. Kukuruyo, I also agree with you. Bandai has zero idea what they're doing. And when it comes to ban lists,
feels like it.
I don't know. But because it's so aggravating reading your comment, to be honest. Like, what you're saying is that like, oh, we shouldn't complain about things that are problems because there are other bigger problems. When the things that you said that are problems really aren't problems. They're really not that big problems. The aces are not strong enough. In no way did we ever insinuate that the aces are not strong enough. And if anything, we said that aces can be really busted because of Edamon.
Yeah, and I'm almost wondering, I can't remember if on that pod we talked about how they get stronger because of cards like the movie option card for Imperial, where it lets you warp into the ace. And I don't know if he thought
we said that they get stronger.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's what he was thinking, because I know we did talk about how there's like even more, like there will be even more interactions soon.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's taking us saying that.
They'll be harder to deal with, but yeah. I'm not even saying that. We didn't even really necessarily say that was a good thing. Because we talked about Imperial and Imperial getting access to movie option, going into Paladin mode ace off of that movie option is like no, that we never said that they weren't strong enough. They're really fucking good, and they're about to become even better, which is, you know, not saying it's an issue yet, but it's something we have to watch out for, just like the Edamon combo. That the United States Store Championships are not well distributed. I'm sorry, do you like playing the game, Kukuruyo? Because if you do like playing the game, I sure hope you live in an area where you can go to one of these store championships and get accepted for it. Because if you live in the area and you don't get accepted for it, you're fucked. If you don't live in the area and you don't get accepted for it, well, you're fucked because you didn't get one. If you live in the area and you get accepted for it, good for you. You hit 1 out of the 3 points that I made. Like, come on, bro. Like, that is an issue. People want to play the game, and people should be allowed to play the game when they want to play the game. If Bandai isn't going to allow people to do other things, if Bandai's not going to let stores host store regionals, if Bandai's not going to let TOs host more regionals, if Bandai's going to fucking cannibalize their own TOs to host more tournaments for their own fucking card games, i.e. Battle Spirits, One Piece, Digimon, Dragon Ball Super, Masters, Dragon Ball fucking Fusion World, and fucking Union Arena coming out, which I don't think Union Arena is supposed to have an organized play scene, which is cool. I'm actually glad about that. Hopefully they leave it as a little bit more of a casual game with the occasional event here and there, because God forbid they have to fucking account for Union Arena, a 5th card game, for their sole amount of TOs. You know, what, like, miss me with that point, bro. And of the shit ton of cards that should be banned, the one you have an issue with is Edamon, because it fucks up your own overpowered decks. It fucks up many decks, bro. And if there's one thing that, like, I've seen across all the comments on the videos that we put out in the last like week or two, we're not the only ones who think that. Other people are like, no, Edamon does need to be restricted because that shit is toxic. We said it needs to be looked at. Erring on the side of it could really lead to some unhealthy interactions in the card game that were unintended for. It's a legitimate fucking issue, bro. And I'm sorry if you don't think that's like, I don't know, whatever you're thinking out there. Just wanted to address your comment.